I'm Aryeh Schwartz, along with my co-host Rachel Galligan, and welcome to the Winsidr show, where it's all about the W. Today, we have Phoenix Mercury head coach Sandy Brondello. If you like our show, please consider joining our Patreon community. For less than a cup of coffee a month, you can directly show support for the hard work we do covering the W. Today, we're honored to have Coach Sandy Brondello on the show. She has done it all. She's coached an Olympic team. She's played on an Olympic team. As a player in the WNBA, she was an all-star. As a coach, she won Coach of the Year and won the 2014 WNBA Finals. Let's get right in. Coach, so glad to have you on the show. I've always really enjoyed our chats after games in DC, and we're very excited to have you on the show to dive a little deeper on the Phoenix Mercury. So let's get into the questions. Going into this free agency, obviously you're the coach and not the GM, but I'm curious kind of what your thought process was coming into this free agency period and what you wanted to do for this team.
Well, I think number one, what we wanted to do is to get better. Obviously we're an organization that we want to make sure that we're competing for championships every year. And, last year, obviously, it was a tough year. Anytime your best player and the greatest player of all time doesn't get hit the floor, it just changes your dynamics of your team. And we had a lot of injuries we had to deal with. We still made the playoffs, but really, we weren't happy with where we were. So, look, Jim and I spoke at the end of the year, and for us to compete with the Washingtons, the Kinetics and Seattle, we needed to get better. And we focused on trying to make our roster a little younger. In 2019, we had 9 players over 30 and over. And, we knew we needed to get younger. It's a very young, vibrant league. And with a mixture of great veterans, I thought that was the way to go. And, getting more athletic, a little bit more playmaking, more shooting, being tougher, better rebounding. I mean, it really covers all areas of basketball, doesn't it? But we just wanted to, try and complement the players that we have and Diana and Brittany and build a team where we think that can compete for a championship.
Coach, we are so happy to have you on the show. Obviously, you guys have had one of the most impressive free agency off seasons, at least in my opinion. And obviously, there's a lot to unpack here. But let's start with the obvious in Skylar Diggins-Smith. Can you talk a little bit just about what it means to bring a player like her to your team, and kind of how does that affect your expectations for this team?
Well, I mean, Skylar's a winner. And I've said this a few times, like Diana Taurasi, her will to win exceeds any player I've ever come across or coached or played with. But Skylar Diggins-Smith is really, she's made the same, just like Diana, and wants to win. Obviously, she didn't play last year, but you saw how well she played in the previous years in the WNBA. She's tough. And, obviously, Diana is a great playmaker, great shooter, but to get a little bit more help alongside her, I think that makes us way more dangerous, especially when we have Brittany Griner on the inside. But look, to be able to trade and get an all-star caliber player like Skylar, I mean, that's certainly going to help our expectations in 2020.
And how does that impact kind of your style of play? I mean, we could talk about pick and roll. We could talk about Taurasi potentially spotting up more, playing off the ball a little bit. Does this addition switch up your style of play at all?
Well, not really. I mean, look, we want to take the best shots every single time, and I think pick and rolls are the hardest thing to guard in basketball. But we also got a dominant inside presence as well. But you need players who obviously are very good in that coming off pick and rolls and making great decisions. But you need the players around it to open it up for everybody, including Brittany. But just having Diana Taurasi off the ball and Skylar coming off a pick and roll, I mean, you have to decide who you're going to guard, how you're going to defend those actions. But look, I'm only talking about 3 players. For us to be the best team, we needed players, and we think we filled our roster fairly well. But, we need to improve defensively. I think that's an area we haven't been as good as we need to be if we want to be a championship caliber team. I feel like we've added players that can certainly help us in those aspects. But as far as offensively, we want to push the ball. We've got obviously Bria Hartley as well. we got multiple handlers, and I think that's important for us. But yeah, now it's all about just developing chemistry with so many new players.
Coach, for years you have had one of the most versatile players in the league, Dawana, and it seemed like the league has kind of followed your layout, each in their own way. LA has done it in their own way, Seattle, DC come to mind. Do you see yourself as a trendsetter in the way you have paired a dominant presence with a versatile stretch player?
Oh, no, look, there's so many great players. I think every team has that. Dawana, she had a fantastic career for the Phoenix Mercury. I mean, winning 3 championships. And, I was able to coach for the last 6 years. And she's one of my favorite players. But, sometimes players want to move on. So we obviously thank Dawana everything that she's done for this organization. And she's going to help Connecticut. You know that because of her versatility, being able to play the 3 and the 4, being able to shoot the ball like she does, her one-on-one capacity, her rebounding. So she'll be missed, but, we think we've been able to fill some really big gaps for us, and we're really excited, to get the season underway.
Coach, let's dive into some of those gaps. I mean, obviously, you can never fully replace a player like Dewana Bonner. I mean, we've talked about her extensively the last few years in particular, and just the level of play in which she is capable of playing at. But, you had some really interesting signings in Jessica Breland and Nia Coffey, 2 players who different points of their career. But how do you see Jessica Breland fitting in with that loss, and playing alongside Griner, and then the continued development of Nia Coffey?
Well, I think that they're both 2 players that filled positions that we needed to fill. And, when we had the opportunity to talk this trade with Breon January, I mean, we considered it obviously because we needed another 4. We just lost one of the best 4s in the WNBA, even though Dewana Bonner is very good at playing the 3 as well, but she's a stretch player, and that's what Jessica Breland gives us. I've always admired her game, and because she just fits in where she needs to. She's really expanded her game. She's shooting 3s, obviously, although she's better to that long 2, but it'll create even more space. When you have a dominant inside presence like Brittany, you need shooters around her to open it up even more for her. So, I think Jessica in pick and rolls will be a hard guard, but her IQ certainly helps us. I mean, but she plays well at both ends of the floor. So, fitting her around BG, we thought that was important for her, but we're also excited about our young kids' development and Brianna Turner. She's just been second in MVP in Australian League behind Kian Earth. Had a really great season. It's been great to see her development as well. And then Alana Smith. We haven't seen the best of Alana. Obviously, she's carried a lot of injuries. She's getting healthy. She'll be ready to go by training camp. So excited about their development as well. But, Jessica is an experienced post player that will play well with these players that we've brought in. And then Nia Coffey, look, she was a 4 in college. People say she has to be a 3, and that's where we may use her at both spots. But I think you saw her development last year. She's shooting 3. She's doing the pull-up, and she's young. She's 25 years of age and is going to get better and better with more experience that she has. So, but she also brings us a lot of toughness in that 3 spot because, WNBA, you can play a little small ball, but some teams go a little bit bigger. You need to be able to defend them as well. And Nia will certainly bring us that on the defensive end, but also the offensive end. A little different for what other players that we have. I mean, she's, a little slasher, but a little physical player. We'll be able to post her up as well.
I feel like you might have seen our show notes because you segued perfectly into my next question. Last year, you guys destroyed the draft, and I think it's fair to say you came away after draft day with the biggest bag. Can you talk to us about your use of these young players and the development that you kind of see these sophomores and what expectations you have for them coming into this season?
Yeah, look, we're really happy last year with be able to get 3 players, and we haven't even spoken about Sophie Cunningham and what she did at Missouri, but just the toughness that she brings. But these are young players, and they're going to get better and better with every experience that they had. And you saw, Brianna Turner and Sophie in particular, because Alana was out injured, but they had opportunities to play last year, and we were happy with their progress. And we're expecting, them to continue to climb in the mountain, getting better and better. And But Brianna Turner, she just got once she got comfortable playing in the pro game, it is different coming from college. They don't prepare you for that. So it took her a few weeks to get into a rhythm, understanding how we play, all the different concepts that we're used to. But she was great for us. I mean, she really played hard. She was real, you always guarded the best player, of the fours on the other teams, guarding Della Don Downey, Wilson from Vegas. So they were hard guards, but she held her own. But we're excited for her to continue to develop her offensive game as well, and just growing in confidence. And the same goes for the others. I think, Sophie Cunningham, she never backs down. You're always going to know you're going to get a lot of grit and effort and 3-point shooting. And then Alana, it's unfortunate she got injured last year. She would have had a lot of opportunities, but I get to coach her with the Opals as well, and she's getting back full healthy, and I'm excited for her just to continue to grow a game and growing in confidence. And sometimes that's what it's about with those younger ones, knowing that, hey, you guys just go out there and play your game, and hopefully we'll continue that development.
Coach, heading into the 2020 draft coming up here, not too long from now, how do you feel you guys have to approach this draft? What do you feel like your needs are? This is a strong draft class that may not be incredibly deep, but at least we talk about the first round being pretty strong. But how do you feel about this draft in particular, and everything that you can say about it, and what do you feel like your needs are?
Yeah, look, I mean, I think it is a strong draft. Obviously the top four in particular, but we're still waiting to see what juniors come out, and they'll make it a little bit stronger. And I think the next few weeks you're going to see, other players taking big steps forward, and that's what usually happens. You get close to the draft day and you're talking about players that maybe you didn't talk about at the start of the season. But look, we've, with all the trades that we made, we still have a first round pick, which we're excited about. And right now, I mean, we signed Tia Vaughn recently, and we just think that's having another big body that is a 5-man that can back up BG, so I don't have to play her 38 minutes is going to be great. But that experience, but in that, in the 10th spot, I think, Jim and I will be looking at taking the best player available, but probably most likely on the perimeter.
Okay. And then my next question, just kind of segueing into our next topic, it would be hard pressed for me not to have you on here and ask you about Diana Taurasi. Like you said earlier in the show, the greatest player in the world. Obviously, I think I speak for everybody who is involved with women's basketball that we missed her tremendously last year. How is Taurasi doing? And kind of, is there a plan for her in this next year? Do you expect it to be limited? Do you expect her to be full go? Kind of, what can we expect out of Taurasi in 2020?
Look, she works harder than anyone, and I say that. Look, and it was disappointing. It was hard for her to sit out last year, but she wasn't healthy, but she's feeling the best she's felt in over a year and a half from the injury when it first happened. So we just continue to progress that. And look, obviously, I don't really want her playing 30 plus minutes, but Diana's going to be Diana. I mean, she'll be the best prepared out there, and it's exciting that we've added other pieces around her. So we don't have to demand so much of her all the time and having to do everything, being involved in every single play. So I think that's going to help her as well. But look, Diana is ready. She's doing all the work that she can. And, 2020, I don't know if that'll be her last year. As long as we can keep her healthy, I think she'll keep playing until, someone tells her she can't play any longer. I mean, that's how much passion and how competitive she is.
I gotta ask, we've touched on it briefly about the Olympics, and it's a big conversation going around right now. You're the coach of the Opals, which I have enough questions about why they're called the Opals. We'll get to that different time. But I'm curious, how do you compartmentalize handling these two roles, even more so when you're talking about, the Olympics being in the middle of the WNBA season? How do you handle that, and how do you get the best out of both jobs?
Well, I mean, I love what I do. I love coaching the WNBA and the best league in the world. And I mean, and there's nothing better than obviously coaching your country, especially at the Olympics. And, this is not new for us in the WNBA. We've had these stoppages, every year since I've been involved. And it's just a part of it. So it's more like we've got a job to do. And, obviously now I have a camp at the end of March in Australia, before all the WNBA, Australian WNBA players go off to their teams. And, you focus on one day at a time. Okay, we're with the Opals. That's what we're focused on. We get to the WNBA. I mean, that's the team that you're focused on. And I'm no different. It's more like I'm pretty blessed to be able to do both of these jobs, but I want to make sure I'm doing both to the best of my ability. But when I'm in with the Phoenix Mercury, my focus is really just on that, and until the Olympic break, and then my focus will go back to the Opals, and hoping that we can keep improving our game and come home with another medal.
We spend a lot of time talking about Team USA and kind of their collegiate tour and their qualifier and all that sort of stuff. But how's it going with you guys and the Opals as you guys qualify and get prepared for the Tokyo Olympics?
Well, it's a different situation now. We all have to go through the pre-Olympics. The last time we had a pre-Olympics was in 1992. I was a member of that team, and we failed to make it to Barcelona. So I certainly know how that felt. And it came down to the last game when we lost by 3, and only the top 3 went at that stage. So we're out. And but look, it's just a relief just to get your stamp to go to Tokyo. We have great expectations. That's what we're expecting. Australia, we're ranked 2nd in the world. We've won a lot of Olympic medals. Rio was a bit of a hiccup for us, but it is one of the hardest things to do is to win at Olympic Games, because the 12 teams going, really the top 10 teams really realistically have a chance at winning a medal. So it's more about just making sure who's playing the best on that day. But, hopefully the Opals will be. We haven't had a lot of preparation. I think that's been a real struggle for me. It's a real struggle when USA actually have more preparation than me at the moment. So that's never really happened, but it's kind of new for me. But look, I'll have a camp at the end of March for a week, and then we'll get back together on July 7th, 8th, and we'll go from there. And hopefully that those 2 weeks together preparing against quality opponents will get us ready to play our best basketball.
Coach, it's fascinating. It's incredible what you're able to do, and I've always admired kind of the level in which you've been able to coach at. So huge props to you, and best of luck with you and the Opals in the Olympics. I do want to ask before we wrap this up here in a few minutes, but I have to talk about the new CBA. And obviously this free agency period is like anything we've seen before. What are your takeaways? There's a lot to unpack with the CBA, so you don't have to go into huge in depth, but we have seen more free agency moves. We've seen a lot more just hype around the WNBA. Kind of how are you feeling about, one, the CBA, and then two, this free agency and all of the moves that are being made?
Well, number one, the CBA, I think the players, WNBA, they listened to the players and they did what they could. So I think that's fantastic to get more money. Obviously improve a lot of it, not just the health and well-being, but getting their own hotel, the airplane. That all matters to a player. And being a former player, I know, where they're coming from. So, really excited about this new year. And I'm actually loving all the moves. I think it's great. And we're becoming a big topic. More and more people are talking about us, and we're going to create even more rivalries because you got a lot of players really, obviously, Skylar Diggins leaving from one team, coming to another. And I think that's great for the WNBA, and it's another opportunity for us to continue to grow our game bigger and bigger. So, look, it's been amazing, the moves, to be quite honest. It's exciting, but, I'm happy where the Phoenix Mercury roster is at the moment, and really can't wait to get the season started.
Coach, we're very grateful for your time. I do have one last question that you kind of touched on there. What is it like, if my stats are correct, you're the only head coach in the WNBA who played in the league. Talk to me about what it's like to do that. I know that, in the current CBA, there was that adjustment that if you have a former player coming on, you can add them to your coaching staff at a more complete position and sit on the bench with them. What does that mean to you to kind of, I know I've talked to you before about being a trailblazer in a variety of other ways, but you're definitely a trailblazer in this effect currently in the league.
Yeah, I am. And really kind of saddens me that I'm really the only former player that's been a head coach at the moment. Obviously, Katie was there, but it's great to see us back still with in the league with the Minnesota Lynx. And I'm always going to be pushing for that. I think more former players. It'd be great to have them, in coaching or, in the front office, whatever. So hopefully that continues to change as we move forward. But look, I love coaching. I loved playing when I played, and I did that professionally for 18 years. And when I retired, I had a great opportunity moving into assistant coach roles at San Antonio Silver Stars. So forever grateful for Dan Hughes for giving me that opportunity. But I just, I love the role that I'm doing, and obviously I want to make sure that I keep getting better and better every year, and hopefully, providing other people with the opportunity to see that, anything is possible, and hopefully we'll see more women coaching in the WNBA.
I appreciate your time, Coach. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
As we always say, we believe the players of the W and its community deserve the same in-depth analysis and respect that men's sports receive on a daily basis. With that in mind, please consider joining our Patreon community to help support us and the hard work that we do.